All right, well, let's move in just really quickly, guys. Let's run through really fast because one of the things that we all have in common again is fitness, and really we talk about is vitality on my show because health and fitness, there's so much bullshit out there. And really the idea is that we're really looking for vitality, the energy, as you can see.
By the way, this episode is sponsored by Power Crunch and Excellence. I'm obligated under contract to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Any public appearance.
Yep. That's funny. And it's actually not sponsored by them. But we've all drank, our share and ate enough of those things. So anyway, yeah. So Shawn, just give a little bit of background. Again, the whole point here being that we need energy. We need vitality. It's not about having a six pack. It's not being about,
Yes, it fucking is.
Monster. Well, for you. Yeah, for you.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah. But, maybe sometimes six pack comes along with it. But
let me ask you a serious question. Do you work out because you love it?
No, I don't work out because I love it.
No, me neither. What do you do for?
Well, I do it again for this exact reason because I want to be fit. I do like my body looking good. You know what I mean? I do like that.
You don't want to be that fat guy on the beach that you and I are always making fun of every vacation.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That
is part of it. But the older I've gotten, and I'm 10 years down the road from you, the older I've gotten, for me, it becomes about, maintenance and making sure that the machine works well and that I have energy to be able to do these things in my life and keep that energy up. That working out and keeping fit and cardiovascular wise and muscular wise, it does have something to do. I do like to look good. I mean, I think we're all vanity, have a little bit of vanity when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, for me, it's about mental clarity and about having the energy to be able to accomplish the things that we're trying to do. So, Shawn, give us a little bit about your background. How do you keep fit? What's your short order advice to the team, to the people?
Eat less, move more.
It's a pretty good one. Eat less, move more. Yeah. But you have some specific strategies, and I see you, again, we've traveled around the world, and no matter where we are, in what circumstances we find ourselves in, you have sort of a formula that you follow that helps keep you fit.
Sure.
And what is that?
Try to never sit down and eat one big giant meal. With the one exception that I tried that with you over New Year's, and it was like the worst decision ever. I can't remember the last time I sat down for a big giant dinner. I don't ever do that. I mean, none in the last 15 years. And I ate that big ass steak dinner, and I immediately was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. So I don't do that. I don't sit down and eat a big giant dinner. I used to get 7 small meals throughout the day, a couple protein bars in between, maybe something like that. So I wake up, I get my meal right away. I like to break the fast. All night long you're fasting. Get up, eat breakfast right away. My first 15 minutes of waking up typically. Mm-hmm. And then right into it, get a quick workout in, even if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something. Mm-hmm. It's a good way to start. Today I didn't feel like it. So I got up, woke up this morning, did about 15 minutes, just going through my morning rituals, what I'm thankful for, what do I love, what are my intentions for today, what am I willing to give. I go through those 4 things every morning. That takes typically 10 to 20 minutes. And then had a protein bar, grabbed my water, ran downstairs into the gym, hit 12 minutes on the stationary bike, just enough to break a sweat basically. Mm-hmm. And it was something better than nothing. So at the end of the day, even if you don't feel like doing something, just doing anything at all. Sometimes if I don't have time, it's just I'll do a couple of split lunges and some push-ups. Yeah. Before I jump into the shower, like something that quick and that easy. Some days you get more time and more energy, and some days you feel like doing it. And those are the days that you should kick ass. I just had this discussion with my dad. My dad just is recovering from a stroke right now. He had a stroke Christmas Eve. So it's been about 2 weeks. He's ordinarily a pretty good health, pretty good shape, 73 years old, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, may have a glass of wine here and there, eats super clean, super healthy. You know, these things happen, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So ended up having a stroke. He's having a tough time right now. He's recovering, getting a little better every day. I gave him a giant game plan. Here's a list of 15 things you need to do every day. I bought him one of those little mini rebounders with a handle on it.
Yep.
Fucking trampoline thing to bounce around on and get his balance back, you know. Yep. Mm-hmm. So Grandpa does that every day. I bought him little 5-pound weights. He's, you know, trying to lift a little bit just to get his strength back so he can start moving again, so to speak. And I got him up on Saturday, went down to his place on the beach. I said, we're going to lunch. Restaurant's only maybe, 100 yards down the beach and maybe 100 yards up the beach. And so I'm like, we're going to walk down there to breakfast. And he was out of breath for sure. But, I just told him, listen, at the end of the day, what's most important is that you're doing something every day and working towards that progress. It's so easy to not do it. And so, like Tony always says, right? So it's easy to do, it's easy not to do. Yeah. So I was just telling my dad, like, at the end of the day that, some days, every other day right now, he wakes up feeling good. Every other day he wakes up horrible. Yeah. And what I said is, look, days that you're feeling good, you're doing stuff and you're more active. And we're on the beach, we go to breakfast and we come back, he needs a rest. And like, hey, all right, you rested. Let's go down to the beach again. Let's go check the sunset, whatever. Right. So the next day he's like, oh my God, I'm dying. I could barely get up and going because his body is still in such a recovery mode. Mm-hmm. So for me, I told him, look, the days that you feel good, those are the days that you should push it. The days you don't feel good, those are the days that you should do something, because it's a struggle to do anything. You still got to do something. Doing nothing is not an option.
That's good advice.
That's kind of my whole thing. And that's what I'm trying to help my dad do with his recovery right now. Yeah.
Well, you've helped me again. I've just modeled, you model success, and I've modeled what you've done. I've modeled, some of what Joe does. I've modeled what some of what Eric does. And Eric, what I've seen you do, I mean, you're a big hacker, right? You want to try to figure out what are the shortcuts that work, minimal input, maximum output. And, and you and I've had some really long conversations about the whole psychology behind fat loss and energy and being able to think and, your body being able to function at a super high level. So just quickly on your end, what advice do you have on vitality and how do you keep yourself going?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if you're chasing the money, you're not always chasing your health, or vice versa. And
you might want to move a little bit closer to the microphone so I can hear you.
Sorry, dude.
That's all right.
Yeah. So basically, I was chasing the money for a while, and I think around like 2015, I saw a photo of myself for a marketing piece, and I was like, "Who is that fat bastard?"
Right.
So I ended up getting up to 240, and everything was hurting. So all the injuries, you know what I mean, were in a ton of pain all the time. I couldn't sleep. I was drinking a ton to try and mitigate it. And so then finally I was just like, all right, enough's enough. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, you're right. It's, with minimal input, how do I get maximum results? And so for me, it's really owning the morning. And then it's also how to incorporate it during the day. Mm-hmm. And so, reducing inflammation is hands down the number one most important thing, I think. If you're eating sugar, you're jacking up inflation, cortisol, on and on, slow breathing. So I just try and incorporate, and I created little worksheets that I have with me, all the time, to where I'm basically just checking stuff off. And so I plan my day every morning. I have my morning ritual, but what I realized was, is if you're going to have a healthy life, you have to have a life that, you're not going away from. So it's like, okay, I'm going to work all day and then I'm going to go work out. Okay, but I'm not going to work out on weekends and da, da, da. So for me, when I plan out my day every morning, I script my morning and then I break it out and I have about 10 chunks of 25-minute sessions. Mm. And so then those are my activities for 25 minutes of focused intention. I'll usually prime it mentally, which is a part of health. And so I'll do a little breathing exercise like Wim Hof. So I'll do like a little quick round of breathing, a little prime it for the 25-minute session. Then I'll take a 5-minute break. And during that 5-minute break, I'll do a more detailed breathing exercise, like Wim Hof. And then I have a list of all the things. So with every one of those chunks, then I'll hang, or I'll do like a Superman, or squats or push-ups or crunches or whatever. And so throughout my day, do you mind if no, that's okay. So then throughout my day, I'll basically incorporate the most important parts. So like right now, I've got my alkaline water here. I just finished my bone broth. I got my butter coffee in the morning. And then in my office, I incorporate like natural weight. So I have the mat, do some breathing, do some different things, squats and whatnot. And so the goal for me, at least, because I have so many injuries, is not, to be shredded, even though I've lost a lot of weight, and I feel better and look better. The idea is just more holistic health, because at around 2:00, I was getting twitches in my eyes from stress. And so just doing those simple things, throughout the day. Now, I can go into, I think I woke up at 3:45 this morning, and if you're doing these little things throughout the day, it's not, okay, I work during this time, I work out maybe every once in a while, because you skip it,
Yeah.
Or on the weekend, I'm not doing anything. I do all this stuff all the time.
So you're more into the functional end, and I've always, and one big thing that you've always worked on is inflammation, and and keeping that down. And because your injury, you've got all those injuries, and so that's really good advice for those people that are out there that are suffering from just life. Like it piles up on you, right?
It does.
Yep. So, and then Joe's the beast of all of us. He does this CrossFit bullshit, and but he's always in beast mode, and we travel a lot, so I get to see his workouts, when we're traveling together at the hotels and shit. So, what do you do for vitality?
Well, what's funny is, fitness really had such an impact on me. I was so skinny as a kid. Like when I joined the Army, I was 180 pounds at 6'3". I mean, my mother went to go buy me these pants that I wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
And the guy asked her, "What are you dressed in, a flagpole?" Because I was so skinny. Oh, that's a true story. Providence, Rhode Island. She went to go buy these pants.
Yeah. Somebody told me you had to jump around in the shower to get wet.
But for me, it was very different. I guess I never envisioned myself as shredded, or that was a possibility. And I started doing it, quite frankly, because I want to be able to defend myself. I was too skinny, and I was playing with alpha dogs, and it was out of necessity. When I hit it, I wanted it to fall down. And so it was always about survivability. And then after the military, when I was working in the fire department, we were walking around with an extra 60 or 80 pounds on us. And if you fall through the floor and you're not dead or with a broken leg, my goal was always to be able to keep that gear on and jump to the beams and pull myself out so I don't die. And so much of that was driven more once I had kids. I didn't want to leave them without a father. So that was a hell of a why. That fucking moved me like Jesus. And so for me, it was always functional fitness, functional. From the fighting side and the self-defense side, that was always a driver. And then the military taught me this value piece, that you should be able to do as much humanly possible damage to your body and still function. It's fucked up. It's not an actual good plan. But but we would drink until 6 a.m. and then go to PT. It was insane.
What's the problem?
Right? We would smoke cigarettes. We would drink and smoke, and like much.
Sean's like, that's a Tuesday.
Right. How much damage?
Being such a pussy, Joe.
How much damage can you do and still run flat out for a mile? That was always that mindset, and that's where I started to push functional fitness. And that was always my thing. And then the bigger piece for me, I had kids when I was older, and I wanted to see them get married and grow old. So there was that piece that drove me. And then, the other piece for me was I hated it. I was so skinny, and it was such a such a pull to gain weight. You know, Eric said he was so fat, he was 240. I'm like, fuck, I'm 240. Shit.
Yeah, but you're muscle.
And well, and some of it's exchanged lately because I've dealt with some injuries and whatnot. So, you know, I'm actually in that space where I'm shifting back. But it's, for me, I hated it so much because I was so skinny and it was so much work that, God damn it, I was going to do it because I said I was going to do it. It was about strength up here. For me, it was like, every ounce of me doesn't want to do this and wants to come up with an excuse. So I'm going to do it just so I build this muscle, not the muscle in my arm, not the muscle in my chest. It had less to do with that for me and more to do with the damn determination because I fucking said I was going to. And then sometimes I'm not really focused on vitality. I'm still staying up too late and drinking too much. But I'm like, all right, well, I do a lot of push-ups and sit-ups. Push-ups and pull-ups and heavy bag. Heavy bag for the cardio, heavy bag for the shoulders, heavy bag for the core, and then push-ups and pull-ups. If I'm not going to CrossFit, then that tends to be, and then I'll sprint. You know, those kind of high intensity quick, and then strain the muscles, and then high intensity quick cardio, and then strain the muscles. And I eat whole foods by and large. I don't eat a lot of crap unless I'm hungover and I need the BK Lounge or something because I'm hungover. Other than that, it's pretty rare that I eat crap. I eat by and large whole food, meat. I do eat grains. I do eat carbs. I'm fine with carbs. I think because my metabolism's so fast. And vegetables, and that's pretty much it. I stay away from I don't drink soda hardly ever. You know, I used to have a Monster every day or whatever, one, not 27 of them, but I haven't had I haven't had those. Like I said, we were talking on the break that I cut those out.
I think Shawn has fucking stock in Monster.
He should.
Yeah, he has two when he wakes up. He has another one because why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
That's what it's always been for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. You know, and I think, again, the main reason why we talk about it is because there's so many people out there and they're looking for like the right model of what works. And I don't think it's like personalized medicine, right? We had a client of ours that really focused in on personalized medicine. And I think that it comes down to what works for you functionally in your own life, because Eric's had scenarios happen to him in his life that none of us have had, right? And Joe, you've had the same thing. You've had different needs for your being a firefighter and doing the stuff you did in the military than we did. And Shawn's had, his life that he lives, and I've had mine, and we're all different ages, and we all come at it from a different angle. So I think it's like finding, again, it's asking the better question. How can I have the most vitality possible with the tools that I have available to me, and doing that research and actually putting some time, effort, and energy into it for yourself. So good. Well, that's a good segue for us to move into, a non-confrontational subject called politics.
Fucking snowflakes.
Fucking snowflakes. And we have a wide varying, belief about politics on this call. Probably not. I think we all. But I think it's a good insight. We're all different parts of the country, all do different things, and you've got California, you've got West Coast, East Coast, flyover states. It's all kind of representative of the country, kind of on this one call. And I just, it was funny. I have to tell you, the last podcast I did with a new Dawn, where we went through and they were talking about being high-end prostitutes and being heroin addicts, and one lady was thinking about committing suicide, and she was going to use a chainsaw to cut her head off. These were the things where he said, and I go, and at the end,
playing full out.
No, she's playing full out. And I'm not kidding you, brother. That in that episode, she talks about like, when she first said it to me, we were at a Dawn of Hope. It was their event, their yearly event. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me the story, and I asked her a question just to test kind of how she was thinking. And I said, did the chainsaw have a lock, so that it would be going? Because, her idea was that she was going to fall backwards on it, and there's no coming back from that, was her sentence, right? And she said, no, I couldn't afford the one with the lock on it. I was going to have to jerry rig it with bungee cords. And I'm like, she really thought this out, actually, right? So, but I mean, these are the things that they were going through. And we get to the end of it, and the end segment that I always end these shows with is politics. And it was five of these women around the table just telling crazy ass stories. And I go, okay, well, let's talk. What's you guys' political leaning? And they all at the same time went, no, 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 no. Oh, you're gonna talk about being a high-end prostitute and cutting your head off with a chainsaw? But we're not gonna talk about politics. That's too fucking sensitive for you, you know? Right. And I think that's a good indicator. Like it shocked me a little bit when it happened, because they, at the same time, they all were like, out, I'm tapping out at talking about politics, because it's become one of those things when you identify yourself as a Democrat or Republican, now everybody starts to assume who you are. Right. And so I think it's important that we talk about it a little bit, and give me your opinion. We'll start with you, Eric. What's your viewpoint on what's happening in the world of politics these days?
Gee, thanks.
We'll let you set the stage, as it were.
Well, I live in communist California,
Yeah.
and you know, every chance I get, I try and run away, but my wife's got a bunch of family here, so I'm stuck. And basically, it's a nanny state. And you know, if you can't take care of yourself, California is going to try and tax you, and tax the people who are actually doing something, and then redistribute that money to people who aren't. You know, so I'm a big fan. I mean, I like you, Jason. I've never, and maybe I should have. I don't know. I lost everything I owned. Didn't declare bankruptcy. Paid off a ton of stuff. Still this day, you know, 14 years later, I'm paying people off. And you know, no unemployment, no this, no that. Like, I'm fairly big on self-reliance, or your village. You know what I mean? All of us have stumbled. Just about everybody on this call, except for Joe, you know what I mean, has helped me in times of need. And so I think we need to get back to that. You know, I mean, I voted libertarian simply because I didn't think that in California my vote would matter if I voted for Trump. Otherwise, I would have. And you know, I think you know, the two-party, you know, split down the middle, every Republican thinks this way, every Democrat thinks this way, is a joke. You know, I want my personal freedom. I want low taxes. I want my guns. I want you to stay the fuck out of my life. And, you know, and I'll give you the same courtesy. And unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to be the trend. And, you know, I've heard you before, Jason, talk about it. And, you know, we just had Trump, you know, go on and say, you know, that the border is a disaster. And, you know, and then you have, you know, Pelosi and Schumer pop up like, you know, a couple of goofballs, you know, sitting there, you know, saying things that are not true. You know, 80% of the people at the border are not women and children. So when you stand there and you say, you know, at the border, you know, women and children are just trying to get in, it's not true. And so both of you fucking people need to stop lying, you know, the left and the right. It's like, you know, and or you guys keep saying whatever you want, but it's up to us to fact check. And I'm not saying, you know, like Trump says everything right. Trump is a hot mess. Don't get me wrong. He is a hot mess, you know, in many ways, but he's also doing a lot of things that I've wanted to get done. I mean, Shawn can probably attest to this as well. You know, when we were doing, you know, artificial grass, you know, I'd go out there and from the manufacturer, I got 20 people on a whole list. 100% of the installers did not have contractors licenses, and were illegal. And so, you know, the issue that I have is, you know, people are always talking about a level playing field. Great, let's have a level playing field. And, you know, if somebody wants to come in and immigrate legally, I'm all for it. But this illegal thing is not okay with me.
Got it. And it's interesting because, you know, that just from your perspective, I mean, you're an intelligent person. You think things through, you know, and you have your definite opinions. And what you see like when you're on more of the conservative side of things, is you see that we pad things, right? We say, Trump's, there's this but you try to see both sides of the equation. And when I'm dealing with somebody that's radically on the left, there's no stopgap, right? I mean, they just say what they fucking believe, and with no apologies to anybody. And I think that's been, sort of that dichotomy between the right and the left. In my opinion, I've been very, very vocal about it, is that I think that most people in this world, and especially in this country, are not right or left. They're right decisions that end up building a posterity and a future for our kids and for our grandkids. And, but you've got the loud people on the right that are fucking idiots, and you got the loud people that are on the left that are fucking idiots. And right now Trump's doing some good things. And I think that, on the other side of the equation, they've got some good ideas, but when you demonize everybody, it's bullshit.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm a hypocrite. I'm a fucking hypocrite. So one of the single greatest things that has changed my life is the legalization of cannabis. I never did it before. I hated marijuana because if I ever did, I looked like a sloth. You know what I mean? And and now I can bag on California, but at the same time, they passed that law. And as a result, I traded one strategy for another. I was downing, a bottle and a half of wine a night on the weekends, just knocking back a case of beers. And because I was in so much fucking pain. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to get addicted to opioids. And then I started to do that. Right. And so then it's like, all right, what the fuck do I do? And so I haven't had a drink in 10 months. And it's not because I'm trying to be sober or it's just that strategy wasn't working for me. Because if I'm in pain and I'm under stress in business, that strategy doesn't work. So then I tried a different strategy, low dosing THC, high dosing CBD, and along with other things. But that gave me at least a little bit of help to where I could sleep through the night without waking up 30 times in agony. Right. And so it's easy for us to judge other people, you know what I mean? And I don't believe everybody on either side is right. I think some of them are definitely wrong. Some are definitely right. But, it's...
and that's my point.
I think the problem that I have is that nobody's taking the time to see it from the other person's, side. And more and more as I get older, I'm definitely, trying to do that. I still have certain opinions, but you once said on a fishing trip years ago, you're like, God damn, you're one of the most, certain people. What did you say? You said something effective. You're like, you're one of the most certain people I know, or something like that. And I was, and since then I was challenging those beliefs. So it's like when I hear something from a Democrat now, I don't shut it off. I sit there and I go, all right, what is there to that? You know, what am I missing? What am I not seeing?
Right. And that's called intellect. And I think more people need to use it because, when you've got CBD, that's not a Democrat thing. That is there's medical uses. There's all kinds of shit that it does that is good. And, and then there's people who take it too far, and then there's people that are against it for stupid fucking reasons. Like there's an in between, and that's where we have to fall. Like we're in business. Being in business, the whole thing is around compromise. The whole thing is around win-win situations. The whole thing is around negotiation. The whole thing is looking at an opportunity and using your fucking intellect instead of just saying I'm a Democrat or Republican and going on. The thing that disgusts me about people that are on TV, when you see a Democrat they know what they're saying is bullshit. They know what they're saying is bullshit. And then you got a Republican that goes on there and they know what they're saying is bullshit, but they're doing it because it's talking points. Fuck that noise. That's what needs to stop.
That shit. So, I'm out.
How about you, Shawn?
Time to go to the gym.
Do you have a chainsaw instead?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do my best to stay out of the politics because I think it's all fucking bullshit. I got a tough time with both sides. The biggest problem is a few of you might know what the fuck I mean by this. I'm fucking orange.
Amen. Yeah.
No, I'm not blue. And I got a tough time picking one side or the other, and this is the way it needs to be. Yeah, I live in California, and it's none of your fucking business what the fuck I do. And stay the fuck out of my business. I stay the fuck out of yours.
Right.
I think for myself. I think everybody at the end of the day on TV is full of fucking shit. And then everybody goes out and repeats all the bullshit that they heard. Yeah, we got a fucking major problem at the border. People that think there's no problem at the border are fucking delusional. I took you, Jason. Actually, I took you, Eric, also in the helicopter, right? We went down to the border. We fucking followed the border from San Diego, from the beach, all the way inland, past Otay, to that compound where we landed, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is about maybe 50 miles of border. Yeah. And about every 10 miles or so, there's a gap where there's no fucking wall at all for a mile to 2 miles. Every river that goes through there, no fucking fence, no wall, no nothing. Mm-hmm. Literally wide open. You can walk through it. You can walk around it. You do whatever the fuck you want. There's no border at all. And people are like, oh, no, our border is just – there's no border. There's literally zero fucking border there.
Or it was 6 foot tall, dude. That little fence was 6 foot. It was like 6 foot tall.
No, and where you put the big barriers, there the immigration, the illegal crossings stop by 96%. And where we were going, we may or may not have been firing machine guns out of the helicopter, but they're right across the way. You could see drug smuggling staging houses, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not like this shit's not happening, and everybody that thinks that they're going to ignore the problem because it's Democrat or Republican, it's a fucking American problem, and it's a Mexican problem. It's everybody's problem. They're filtering drugs across, and they're like, it's not even about the people so much. It's about the drugs and about all the other bullshit that's coming across that border. So I agree with you.
Is now a higher revenue source for the cartel than drugs.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. That's true.
And then these people get here and they're stuck and they're trapped and they're threatened with death or their family members. It's like, dude, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, Shawn, you kind of summarized sort of how we all feel. It's like, try to stay out of it. I don't try to stay out of it. I'm making it my fucking mission to for people to realize that there's an answer in the middle. That's the thing that makes this country great, is the tension in the middle. You go too far left, you end up with Venezuela. You go too far right, you end up as Hitler. I don't want either one of those things to happen. What I like is people meeting in the middle and having that natural tension, create an idea that was bigger or better than both sides could have come up by themselves, right? That's what I think we need to do. And that, if that takes a third party or that just takes, us hammering down on that concept. Joe, what's your take?
Ooh,
and you and I talk about it a lot, so I know what your take is, but tell the people. I
got lots of takes.
Tell the people.
The hard thing is, there's a natural tension between the two, but everybody, it's like the Hatfields and the McCoys right now. Everybody's in it for their own interests. Our founders got together and they vehemently, good Lord, I have a hard time with that tonight, vehemently disagreed with each other's positions. And yet they were looking at it as an outcome of what's best for the people, what's best for the people who lived here. So they came to compromise, not for the sake of compromise, which is what happens now, not for the sake of political shits that I can cash in later, but this is what's going to serve better. And now all we do is we run the same narratives and everybody's out for themselves. I mean, these people, they have nothing but political influence in their entire careers. Term limits, would be genius. Everybody always says, oh, we can't do that. We need the people who've been there for 30 years who know how to do it all. Well, if we had term limits on them all, you'd know how to do it all after 2 years. You wouldn't need the 30 years to know how to do it all if you had term limits. But the career politicians, all they have is political influence. You and I disagree on this. I wasn't happy with either candidate. I don't like either one of them. I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but I don't believe it was all mine, or maybe pieces of it are. But my concerns with Trump was that he was going to erode the social fabric. I think he's done some of that. My concerns with Trump was that he wasn't going to govern conservatively. He has, surprisingly. So I was happy about that. But, and my concerns for Trump was that he would do so much damage to the Republican Party that it would never recover. And those three things, two of them have yet to be seen. I think the social fabric thing's already been done. It already is what it is. But the other one, Benghazi's enough for me. The crimes were enough for me. The criminal shit was enough for me. So for me, it kind of felt like, am I sticking the knife in the top socket or the bottom socket? Like, I didn't like either one of them, if I'm honest. But the two-party system creates a lot of that. And for me, my deciding piece was judges. And we had this conversation. It was all about the judges. Yeah. So that was a big deal for me. And Trump has certainly excelled in that regard. And it certainly looks like we're going to get another Supreme Court justice. So that's a big deal. But the natural tension between the two, and, we know that this came from Jordan Peterson, but just the two, anything you do, you're going to have somebody who's better at it and somebody who's worse at it. There's always going to be hierarchy. That's the right. And if that gets out of control, then you have oppression in that system. And then on the left, you always have those people that are trying to balance that out. Well, if that gets, then you got Venezuela. So what's that natural tension in the middle that benefits us all? Some of the old positions, I think more conservatives nowadays are more socially liberal than they used to be. I don't give a shit who you bang, guy, girl. It doesn't make any difference to me who you marry. I don't give a fuck. It makes no difference to me. But I think a lot of it, was rooted in the Judeo-Christian backgrounds, and that's where a lot of those pieces. But I don't think our dad's Republicans are what it means to be conservative these days. But stay out of my business, stay out of my life, stay out of my, you got to take my guns from me. That'll be interesting. I hope you expect to receive fire when that happens.
Yep. But that happens on all four of these squares.
Right. They're not coming peacefully.
To any law enforcement, I do not own firearms except for the one shotgun.
Eric Michael Collins.
Thank you.
Not to be
never threatened anyone. Thank you.
Yes.
But that's my take, and I think everybody's just trying to, they all want to spin it to their own end, but nobody's actually trying to solve the problem.
Yeah. And, I think the thing that we fight against, that I'm fighting against, is that there's a formate, it naturally happens unless it doesn't naturally happen, which is, it forms into this oligarchy, which is a ruling class that think that they know better than us. I mean, the thing that I have a major problem with right now is that the founding fathers said that it should be a sacrifice to go serve your country and then go back to where you came from to create wealth or your, to take part in your constitutional rights. Therefore, while you're there, you will never set a law against yourself because you're going back. And
right.
Nobody fucking goes back anymore. Nobody fucking goes back. And I also heard it said that if you go to Washington D.C. to serve and you come out richer than when you started, you fucking stole. And who did you steal from? You stole from your neighbors. You stole from other people. You stole from the general public. And people don't understand that. They're okay with people going in with $100,000 and coming out with $100 million. Where did that fucking money come from? Where did it come from? It came from people buying your shit. And when you go in there and there's a government shutdown and all these people are getting paid, that is against what the founding fathers ever thought was supposed to happen. You can't, they opt out of all of the shit that we have to do. If you're a senator, a congressman, or any part of that government, you all of a sudden get a pass on following the same laws and the same taxes and all the same shit that we have to go through as the general public living under it. And that, my friends, is why America was fucking founded in the first place, was to get away from that shit. It takes 4 months for the average American to pay their taxes. January, February, March, and April before you ever get to keep any of the money that you're having. And we left and we fought a war and we went to war and died and fought against a place that was, the taxes were much lower. The taxation was much lower without representation. And so, we've got to take this country back. I strongly support #replace them all. And, and get that flow of people where it's actually a sacrifice to go serve and do your best for your country. Fight your battles right and left. Fight those fucking battles. you know, but then come back to a system that you helped improve, not one that you set up for yourself for a lifetime appointment as in an oligarchy system that says that you're better than I am and you're going to make decisions for me that you don't fucking live by. That's my big deal. So there's
Amen.
my
Couldn't
rip.
agree more.
Well, fellas, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Hopefully everybody got a taste of why I love these guys so much. Would take a fucking bullet for any one of them. And I respect and love you guys. We've been through some massively shitty situations together, and we all come out fighting and better off. And you know, just wanted the world to get to meet you and to see the things that I see in you. And just to let them know I'm proud to surround myself with fellas like this. I trust them with my life, and we just have a really great relationship. So thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate it. Love you very much. And back to kicking ass and taking names.
Thanks, brother. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother. See ya.
Peace.